I got one daycare center to send me prices over email. This is how much they charging me, y'all. $23.55 a month for 5 days a week full time for a newborn. That's half my monthly income after taxes, y'all. I live in Atlanta. This isn't no LA, New York. This is Atlanta, y'all. And they're going to try to justify it, saying, well, it includes diapers and wipes and premium amenities. What amenities? It's a baby.
Okay, y'all. So some of y'all may know, some of y'all may not know. But we are relocating to Dallas. And when I tell you that the whole daycare thing has been the most stressful part of it all, one, because she's never been to daycare before. Two, because why is daycare the price of a mortgage? I'm just like, everybody's like quoting me 280 and up a week. Like, bruh, why? And to me, it's just like, if I'm going to be paying $280, $300 a week, what is she going to be learning? Because I need my baby to come out proficient. I need her to know her 1, 2, 3s, ABCs. I need everything on point in the first couple months that she's at daycare. Because ain't no way I'm paying $300 for y'all just to watch her. And y'all not teaching her nothing. Y'all not doing anything. Like, no way. I just don't understand why y'all are charging like she's becoming a resident there. I
just declined a job offer that paid over $100,000 per year. So I got laid off by the end of 2023 and got pregnant on 2024. While I was pregnant, I was also active looking for a new job. And now my baby is born, she's 2 months old. Finally, I got a job offer, but I decided not to go. Here's why. That job required me to go on set 5 days per week. And it would take me about 30 minutes commute to the office, an hour if there's traffic. And I live in Seattle, so there's always traffic. Since my baby is 2 months old, she will need daycare. And infant daycare are so expensive. I just spent a day asking around, and the average price for an infant daycare from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. is around $4,000 and more. So even though the job offered me more than $100,000 annually salary, but after tax, healthcare, and 401k, my take-home salary will actually just barely cover the infant daycare. Also, my baby Angelica is currently in her contact napping phase. Like during the day, if she need a nap, she will only napping on top of me. Once I put her down in her crib, she will immediately start to cry. But if I put her in the infant daycare, nobody gonna pick her up. It's gonna just let her cry probably. So at the end, I have to say no to the job offer because the salary just cannot cut it. I also don't have the heart to send my 2 months old to infant daycare. Like, daycare in the United States is just so expensive. If my salary is less than $100,000 per year, the infant daycare will actually more than my take-home salary. Maybe when my baby grow up a little bit, the daycare cost can be less. But now I have no choice but become a stay-home mom. But I'm really into it, and I will not change it for anything. I just wish there would be more mom-friendly employee out there.
Can we talk about how unreasonable life is these days? Signed my kids up for a new school. Their registration fee was $210 each. That's $420. They require a materials fee of $300 per kid, and they require a 2-week deposit for each kid. Total weekly tuition, and they cut these payments up into 4. So they cut the materials fee up into 4, which is $75 per week to equal out the $300 per kid, and then they cut up the 2-week tuition deposit, which obviously differs between the kids. So anyways, his total for the week, for the first 4 weeks, is going to be $427.50. My daughter's is going to be $378.75. Total a week, we're looking at $806.25 for the first 4 weeks, the first month. That times 4 is going to cost us $32.25. How are people living?
Do you know what the biggest scam in America is? And it's not rent prices, it's not grocery store inflation, it's not gas prices. It is childcare. Nobody told me or prepared me for exactly how expensive childcare would be. So you mean to tell me I need to pay $500 a week for daycare just for my child to get sick every week, just for me to have to take off work and stop what I'm doing to stay home and take care of my child, just to keep paying daycare, baby. That's why my child lasted in daycare for all of 3 weeks. Okay, I hated daycare. I was like, listen, if I had to not work and stay home with my child, that's what I'm gonna do, because that daycare stuff is not it. It is like paying rent twice. You still have to send them with their bottles made. You have to pay for holidays. Why am I paying for daycare and I had to be home with my child? Does that make any sense? Daycare is hands down the biggest scam ever. So if you're pregnant right now, or you have kids, or you're thinking about having kids, just know childcare costs are not for the weak, okay? And don't think that you're just gonna go get a nanny unless you got an extra $1,000 a week to spend. I'm trying to tell you, it is so real out here for parents.
Love my kids' daycare teachers. They are angels. They are truly our village. And I think that childcare is too expensive. That's not to say that they should be getting paid less. I think they should probably actually 100% be getting paid more. They should absolutely be getting paid more because we're trusting the lives, wellness, health, safety, education of our children in their hands. But I also think that childcare is way too expensive how it is right now. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense. You can't increase the wages of people doing the service while decreasing the service. But hear me out. If that party of family values, instead of paying people $5,000, a mere $5,000 to have a kid, doesn't even cover a fraction of anything about having kids, maybe if we put that money and those medals, maybe if we put that towards things that are actually going to encourage people to have kids and incentivize and make parenting and having families a little bit less hard in America, maybe then people would want to have kids. Maybe if we put that money towards healthcare, education, childcare subsidies, increasing wages so people don't need childcare. I mean, think about the possibilities.
Tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm feeling some type of way. So we just went through 2 hurricanes, and my daughter's daycare was closed for both of them. For Hurricane Milton, it was open just 1 day. They closed the rest of the week, so today they're open again. I have a balance for 2 weeks that I have to pay in full. They're not prorating it, but operations were closed. Like, why aren't there exceptions for natural disasters? I understand that it is business and I just paid, okay? And ultimately, our safety is what matters. I am so thankful that we are here, but I just feel some type of way. Is it just me? What do you think?
Why is daycare and or preschool academy so expensive? I will not understand it. My coworker and I were discussing this. They were recommending a preschool academy. We look up the site. Tell me why the cost of tuition was $15.80, not $15.80, not 1,580 pesos, but 1,580 USD, United States dollars. What? Have you lost your mind? You think I'm finna pay $1,500 a month, $1,600 a month? What are you teaching for tuition to be $1,600 a month? That's basically a rent payment. What?
1, 2, here we go, 3.
You guys, do you want to know something absolutely crazy? It's the cost of childcare in this country. Now, I live in Northeast Ohio, in a nice suburb, but I'm not in New York City, I'm not in Chicago, I'm not in California where prices are sky high. But I am paying nearly $2,000 a month for my child to go to daycare. $1,700. That is almost what I'm paying for my 15-year amortizing mortgage on my house. On top of that, I have to pack her lunch every day, pack her breakfast, diapers, wipes, all supplied by me. So my question is, if your household income is not more than like $150,000, how are you paying for that? How can you afford to work if you have to pay for childcare and you're paying a mortgage and you're paying all your other life expenses? Especially if you're a single parent, like, how does that math? It literally doesn't make sense. And now that I have 2 kids, I am going to be staying home full time with them because that is more economically feasible for me to stay home with them and have my husband work versus me working, having them to go to daycare and having a 2-person working household. I'm sorry, but to me that is just crazy, and I'm not one to usually harp on those type of issues, if you will. I just truly don't understand how most Americans can afford it. I really don't. It doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, raise your hand if you contemplated quitting your job because you saw daycare prices. And it's worse for us that have multiples. So let's get into the story time. So yesterday I went to a popular daycare center just to, try it out to see about prices and how things were. It is one of the very popular daycare centers. It starts with the C, but I'm not going to tell you. And it was very promising, from the confirmation to the director, calling me, making sure that she prepared for my questions and things of that nature. Was very good. However, the end was very bad, and here's why. So I get there with my husband and my kids, and it was very good. You had a buzz to get in. Either you had a code or you didn't. Didn't have a code, somebody was there at the front door to stop you. Good. Check. Perfect. So as we were touring, everything seemed really well. The teachers were very nice. The classroom sizes were small, and I love that. That means my children would be paid attention to, all that good stuff. So we went to several rooms. We went outside to the turf. They went over, all the good stuff about food, diapers, wipes. It's all included. Nice. Love that. That's a red flag for those who are paying. So to keep going, they also talk about how they have, I forgot what they called, but basically field trips that came to you. Okay, fine, very cute. So we got to the end, and they asked, how'd you like it? Any questions? When do you think the start date would be? Blah, blah, blah. I said, how much does it cost? $520 per week per child. Okay. Wait a minute. You're like, well, it includes everything, right? Yeah. But that doesn't include the starting fee of $400 per child. Plus, wait a minute. For the fake field trips, to tell you my kids are one. $150 per child. And this is just for the summer. So you mean to tell me I'm coming out the gate swinging, paying $1,000 per child? You are literally almost tripling my mortgage. And for you to tell me that I can't select my child's food menu, I can't bring in specific Pampers, we have to use yours. I have no autonomy besides what time I want to drop my kid off and pick them up. Even though, it's still a certain time frame for consistency. Then there's no need to file for assistance, because the government, after you make over $2, they laugh at you and go, help where? No, but seriously, guys, we really need to talk to our local congressman. God bless if we can get to the current administration, because this is ridiculous. I'm sorry. This was all natural. No shade to anybody who went, and had to do IVF or whatever. Look, the twins came natural. I had no control over this. I didn't go in and choose my kids like some rich people do. I had no control. So I need a discount. And when I did ask about a discount, she said 10% for one child. One child. Yeah. And then when they both turn 2, I can get another discount so that both of them get 10% off their tuition. And they don't have tuition assistance for us public servants.
Let's get started on the daycare. I really like the daycare. The tuition for 5 days and 5 hours per day is $645. 5 hours for 5 days, 9 hours per day would be $860. It's not bad. Now, 2 days per week, 9 hours per day is $500.15. No, that's not right. You see, 2 days per week, 9 hours per day is $515. Now, 3 days per week, 9 hours per day is $645. Still not bad. Now, I do have the option of packing my baby breakfast and lunch. If not, I will have to pay for this thing. It's like Healthy Hearts Meal Service, which is $200 a month on top of the tuition. Mind you, the tuition is weekly. Like, I pay that weekly. Which, if I get help from HRA, it's not my problem. But then again, I don't know how it works, so I have to pick out a daycare, and then we're gonna go down to HRA and see how everything goes. Into safety, for if you're enrolled, then if you're a parent, you have to have an ID. If you're picking the child up, you have to have an ID. So no ID, no entry. No ID, no kid. When you're enrolled, you do get a personal code to enter into the building. No code, no kid. They don't have cameras, but they do have this app called. They have an app that they update your child on there. But I feel like, I don't know, I still need cameras. As a first-time mom, I still need cameras. I don't want to say that's a complete deal breaker for me, because when I walked in the building, like, I felt safe. Like, I like it. I like the daycare. But no cameras? No cameras? So they don't believe in timeout, which is really good, because I don't want to say I don't believe in it, but I don't put my baby in timeout. So y'all put my baby in timeout in daycare, he gonna be like, well, I'm in a corner. Like, out of timeout, they like redirect them to a calmer activity, which is really good. I think that's really good. They help with potty training. They'll tell you whenever the kid is ready for underwears. We do have to supply our own diapers and like our own blankets for nap time, which is fine. I just wish it didn't have a later enrollment. So I do have the option to be put on the waiting list. That would be a $200 fee, but if I pay to be put on the waiting list, I don't have to pay to be for the registration fee, because that will basically be my registration fee.
So for just a little perspective for anyone that wants to debate the childcare situation, and I know if you're a parent or close to a parent, you already know this, but I have a almost 2-year-old. She does 3 days a week at the same daycare my older two also did a couple days a week. And when I put my oldest in, at the time, it was for 2 days, it was like $80. And then 3 days was like $108. It wasn't that much more. So I did the 3 days because it was just a little bit more, and it was better to keep a schedule. And so with my almost 2-year-old, we've been doing 3 days. And when I first put her in, the rate was $185. And I know inflation and all that. Now the rates have just gone up again, and they start next week, and it's $285 for 3 days of daycare. And I love this daycare. They're not price gouging. They actually do an amazing job. I was actually on a wait list for a very long time just to go back to this daycare, because that's the only place I trust my child at. And they do so much with the kids. I mean, I really, really enjoy them. And I live in a state where the daycare is not even as much as it is in some other states. But, of course, the cost of everything, all the supplies they're getting, that all goes up. So, naturally, the rates go up. Now, I get a little bit of a discount, so I'm very, very extremely grateful for that. But it's insane that when we first started with my oldest many years ago, it was $80 to $100, and now it's $285. So if you know someone that has school-age children, just pray for them. But no, and then everyone thinks that being a stay-at-home mom is actually a privilege, and it's really not, because I know it is a privilege to be around your kids, but what I mean by that is most of the time it's coming from a place of not being able to afford childcare, instead of a place where the parents make enough for one to stay home. So it's really just that they can't afford daycare, and they try to do what they can to get by. It's not that
oh, it's okay, we can survive on one income, because no one can do that. So, just some perspective.